Let's have a quick chat about creativity. Creativity is often something people admire about others. Before we get into it, let's review some of the greatest and most creative inventions of all time. Number 1, the automobile. Carl Benz is supposedly the first person to ever make an automobile. The first one was built in 1885, and since that day, cars have become a necessity of life for most people. Cars were so amazing, in fact, they ended up making a trilogy of movies just based on cars. Fun fact of the day, the most commonly stolen vehicle is Honda Accords. So if you have a Honda, make sure you lock it and make sure your windows are rolled up all the time because they'll get you. Number 2, the telephone. Created in 1876 by Alexander Graham Bell, the first telephone was made to telephone people. I know, crazy. Fun fact, didn't think you'd know that one. The telephone has revolutionized communication and how people can get in contact with each other over great distances. As of 2019, 80% of people have access to a mobile phone. That's ridiculous. Number 3 and last for today, something that has truly changed the way the world works. The umbrella hat. Created by Robert W. Patton in the early 1890s, the umbrella hat has truly made a shift in fashion in today's society. The umbrella hat is one of the least stylish and most ugly pieces of clothing anyone could possibly wear. And to be quite honest with you, people still wonder why it even exists. While all those things are amazing, none of them will ever be able to compare to the creativity of God. To prove my point to you, I'm going to describe a couple of God's creations, but I'm not going to tell you using terms that we know today. I'm just going to explain them how they are. It might seem a little confusing, and I'm sorry, I barely passed English, so I'm sorry if it's confusing. I tried my hardest, but I just wanted to say it just straight. Number 1, a big spherical rock that spins on a 23.5 degree angle. Now this rock is spinning around another spherical ball, but this spherical ball is made up of 2 elements and is constantly on fire. The big ball of rock has a smaller ball of rock that spins around that ball of rock that pulls with a force that we can't see or hear, but it's definitely there, that allows for the water to be pulled slightly off of the earth so that the water in the ocean can stir so that the little fish can swim in a constant temperature, and it also allows for tides, wakes, and surfing. I've never surfed, and I've always wanted to, but I can barely ride a skateboard, so we'll hold off on that for a little bit. Number 2, itty-bitty microscopic things called cells band together to form an ovular shape that controls most of the human function. Now, what's special about this big old mass is that it's split into 2 halves, and each of these halves has different functions. Now, it's going to get real crazy here, guys, so stay with me. The way that these 2 halves are triggered is by tiny electrical pulses that cause a response to the stimulus that was stimulating the thing. The way that these halves are triggered is by electrical pulses that stimulate a response so that they can... Wait, what? I can't read, dude. Now, the way these 2 halves are triggered is by an electrical pulse that relays information to each other so that they can respond to the stimulus that it's receiving. Nailed it. Item number 3. A floating mass of water that can weigh up to 1.1 million pounds but yet can still float in the air. This floating mass of water does not feel the effects of gravity. Now, every once in a while, these masses clump together into bigger masses that eventually do feel the effects of gravity, and then they fall to the ground. Fallen masses eventually get sucked back up into the vast empty space that we call the atmosphere so that they can reform into these masses that float in the air again. And unfortunately, these little masses are forced to live that life and that process over and over and over again for eternity. When you really start to break this stuff down, it's amazing to see what God has managed to create. God is the most creative mind that has ever existed and that will ever exist. He wants us to be creative as well. Ephesians 2:10 says this. Get your highlighter out. This is a good one. We are God's workmanship, created in Christ Jesus for good works, which God prepared beforehand that we should walk in them. God has made some truly amazing flings. He's made some amazing flings. God has made some truly amazing things, and I feel like it's in our nature to want to create things as well. We need to remember that the same God that created a spinning rock surrounding a spinning ball is the same God that loves and cares for us each and every day. His creativity is endless, and so is his love. But anyways, that's the message I wanted to get across. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to come and spend it with yours truly. I will see you guys in 2 weeks for the next installment of Mondays with Matt. Toodles.